show?
Yes, it's the show. Goof, who's this?
Hi, this is Daniel, first time caller.
Hi, Daniel. Well, guess what? This is the first time we're doing this, so hopefully you're not like, going to yell at me. So let's see what happens. Go ahead.
Do you know which Daniel this is?
Is this like DT Daniel?
This is DT Daniel.
Shut
up.
up.
I'm so confused right now.
I was so confused, Daniel. I didn't know who it was. Thank you so much. You guys, this is Daniel from the DT show. Thank you so much for calling in, Daniel.
No problem. I have a question. I can't be on long, but I have a question for you.
Sure.
So there's been a lot of speculation and a lot of controversy going on recently on whether Bryan Kohberger said, Kaylee, I'm here for you. Given he didn't name anybody ever, I mean, even on his phone, the girls that he ran with didn't have a name.
The girls that he ran with.
How possible do you think it is that Bryan Kohberger actually said those words?
I don't think he said those words. In my opinion, I think that was a mix-up, and it's the only time that it's ever stated in the whole thing. So I feel like there's more times where it's stated without that. However, Daniel, I have something to say back about that exact same line. So I was watching another creator, and she put up the Vampire Diaries. I don't know if anybody knows what I'm talking about, but it was actually quite interesting. And I don't know, so I wasn't able to look it up much, but maybe, I don't know, you might get interested in this. But apparently in the Vampire Diary show that they watched that night, like she put it on, so I heard it with my own ears. The guy says, it's okay, I'm here to help you. So as somebody that teaches about memory and dream and stuff like that, dreams, when I used to have nightmares years ago, I realized that it's because I was watching crime right before I went to bed. So like, of course, I'm going to dream about someone robbing me, for example. But it took me a while to like put the two together. What are the chances?
How do we know which Vampire Diaries that she was watching?
Because that
was Bethany that was watching Vampire Diaries
with Dylan, and apparently they were watching season 8 and they were at the end of the season. And if you look, apparently Dylan says, or Bethany rather says, that when she went downstairs, she watched the very last episode on the iPad. So we know that Dylan probably watched the second to the last episode. So I do have to do more investigation into this, but if that's true, what does that mean? Do you know what I mean?
I mean, Dylan actually watched it, and I think that maybe that does kind of play maybe perhaps a little bit of a role. This would have been way at the end of the interaction, when she was probably most awake, versus something that would have happened at the beginning. Like if maybe that was as she woke up, that was the first thing she heard.
That's a good point.
I think it'd probably be most likely what that was. But given the fact that this was at the end, she was already frightened. Murphy was already barking. She was already calling out for Kaylee at this time, looking out the door multiple times at this point. I don't know.
I agree with that.
And it does actually say it in 2 places.
It does?
It doesn't say that he says Kaylee, but another officer says that on another place that outside of him being there for her. And so it's paraphrased, and it doesn't say I'm here to help. It says that they were there for her, or he was there for her.
For Kaylee?
And it was the first few pages of the documents. In fact, when I read that, I had created my title and the thumbnail for the show, and I put fixing the narrative, because I assumed that Brian Ensign and Ashley Banfield got it wrong, and they took those words from that first few pages where it said that she believed that she believed. So in the first few pages, there's a statement that says that she believes that the offender told Kaylee that they were there for them. And then like 70 pages later, it's actually quoted in quotations from Dylan saying, Kaylee, I'm here for you. And so those are the two. It's on 2 documents, but only one document that actually says her name. The other document refers to him being there for her, and it doesn't refer to who he's saying that to. It doesn't have a name. It just kind of starts it off at that point.
Are these 2 separate cops, real quick? Was it 2 separate like cops that said this?
I believe so.
Because that would
I
matter
could be
too.
wrong. I don't remember the exact names. I know one of them was right off the bat. I want to say within the first 20 documents, and then the second one was like document 79 or something
I'll have
like
to look that up.
Out of those, I think it was like 300 and something documents. I want to say it was out of those. Maybe it was the ISP documents.
I'll find
but
it.
either way, I think it was like 50 pages in between them.
So what do you think now that you said that? I didn't know it was there twice. I thought it was just there in the very beginning. So I too assumed that they got it wrong on Banfield and Bryan Etten. But if it's in there twice, I mean, isn't that the same amount of times that it's not in there?
Well, here's the thing. We only know, like we haven't actually read what her statement is. We've only read paraphrased statements of what she said. Like, we actually have zero idea of what she said in those, like, as far as like verbatim, word for word throughout the entire interview. We do know that she had stated what had happened like 2 to 3 times on the body cam. And even at that moment, the officer had mentioned to her, we're going to be asking you these questions over and over again, which you probably shouldn't have said that, to be honest with you, because if she was a suspect, you don't want her to be like, okay, I got to remember all my details. You know what I'm saying?
That is true.
But he obviously could see in the moment how freaked out they were and that these young girls had nothing to do with the crime. But you probably still, until you 100% can, rule them out, you probably shouldn't say those things. But he did. And, so they were asked quite a few times. And memory is tricky. It may be a detail that took her a little bit to remember. You know what I'm saying? It may not have been a memory that came back right away, which it may also be unreliable. I mean, I've always said witness testimony is not the most reliable stuff that's out there.
Well, scientifically, it's not either. So if you look at the science behind it, because I teach this too, it is actually more unreliable than it is reliable, believe it or not.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. I mean, if you look at what she thinks she saw, she thinks she sees a cylinder object with a possible triangular object at the bottom, a triangular base with a vacuum attachment sticking out of it.
And he was a firefighter, supposedly. She thought he could be a firefighter.
Well, she only said that because of what Bethany said.
But that's what I'm saying, though. Like, you're right. So, like, you're only going to think of things that are already in your own thought process. So in her thought process wasn't that, somebody came in to slaughter 4 of her friends. So I think her brain was picking other things that she thought it could be, because I don't think she thought it was a knife. Do you know what I mean? At the time. Or whatever it was.
I'll ask you this, though. So you thought that maybe perhaps that she confused what she saw in Vampire Diaries?
I don't know.
If it's true that Vampire Diaries said that and she watched that and she did hear somebody say something, let's just say that those two are true. What's more likely, that Bryan Kohberger said the exact same thing on Vampire Diaries, or Kaylee, I'm here to help you?
I can't believe you just said that. So we always talk about how he picks and chooses things, but my thing is, how would he know that they watch Vampire Diaries unless, like, he could see through the windows and stuff? Who knows? Maybe not that, but who knows?
I don't think he. Yeah,
okay, so you don't think like he's using that? Okay, I was going to say, because that wouldn't be like, that wouldn't be out of the realm. But I do think, because you were just saying.
That's what I mean. What is the likelihood?
That it is.
Say the exact same thing that they watch. It's probably slim to none. And if he did say something, it's more than likely the thing that she recalled afterwards versus the first thing that popped into her head after watching a show like that and those words were said. So that's my point. It's probably very small percentage-wise that Bryan Kohberger went in there and said the exact same thing. He wasn't there. That happened at 2-something in the morning. His phone was still in Washington while all that was occurring. And so he wasn't out looking to watch that they were Vampire Diaries to have reflected that. And plus, it wasn't, I don't know if it was Kaylee and Maddie who was also watching that. So it wouldn't make sense for him to say that. If he knew that, he would have probably said that to the girls that were watching. So to me, what you're saying actually probably makes it more likely that if Bryan Kohberger said anything at all, which I believe Dylan heard somebody say something. if she heard him say something, that it's most likely, I'm here for you. I don't know about the name part, but the I'm here for you is probably most likely versus the exact same thing that she heard earlier on a show. I think that the likelihood of them saying is just super low.
I can't wait to look it up to like make sure, but I mean, this creator had like the vampire, like I was driving home to see, but it sounded like she had the show one and the part, and they say it multiple times, not just once. So like they say it like 3 or 4 times in that one episode that it's okay, I'm here to help you. And I also didn't realize that Vampire Diaries, that it's mostly about like stabbings and stuff. So they said that it wasn't that violent. And again, I have to reread things because I didn't read that on my own, but I would think that that's violent. But I guess what I'm saying here is, you were saying that they say, you know, I'm here for you. Like there were different renditions of what she said. So it could be, I do think she heard something because she says that she heard a male talking and that it wasn't Ethan's voice. So I do believe that. But what did he say? Like you said, did he say, I'm here for you? I'm going to help? Like, what did he say? And if they are able to, you know, say that they were watching this episode and they say it a few times there, not that she would do it on purpose, but we know that the brain sometimes will misremember. And could those exact words been misremembered? And if so, what does that really mean though? You know what I mean?
That means that if she was quoted by law enforcement as saying, Kaylee, I'm here for you, and that was said obviously after the fact because we didn't see that in the body cam footage. Not saying it's 100% accurate, but it's probably more accurate than what she initially said, given the fact that it matches what she heard that night. To me, it just means that you're probably on the right path where, you know, what she thought she heard is the same thing as that. And that makes sense. But I believe that she heard something.
I do too.
And if at some point it did change from what she may have confused, what she heard earlier, to Kaylee, I'm here for you, or I'm here for you, without saying the name, I would probably tend, if I was investigating this, I would tend to believe that second statement if I knew about this Vampire Diary thing. You know, I don't think the cops went in there and went through the effect of watching Vampire Diaries to see what was being said in those shows to determine whether or not Dylan's memory was influenced by what she was watching. You know, I highly doubt they did that.
No, but that goes back to what we were saying before. Shouldn't they have done more than like some of the things, or like gotten some of the statements like figured out? I don't know. I feel like the ball.
I don't think watching Vampire Diaries
would have helped. No, I hear you.
List at that point, to be honest with you, things that we're going to try to do.
But I do think, Daniel, I do think one of the cops asked Bethany, were you watching anything? So that would be my only thing. Like, why did he even ask that? Like, what were you watching when you went to bed? But I have to read the diary. I mean, I have to read, I said the diary. I have to read the documents again just to be sure before I put that really out there.
Yeah. And what you were watching, what you were doing is to establish a timeline for consistencies.
Gotcha.
You know, if she says, oh, I was watching Vampire Diaries and it was like on regular TV or something. Oh, what time was it? What episode was it? You can go and cross-reference that. And then when you get their phone data, you can cross-reference that with what they were, you know, where's the position of the phone during the time that this movie was going on? Were they on the couch or were they somewhere else making calls, planning things, doing things that aren't consistent with what their story is?
100%.
So that's one of the main reasons you asked that, not necessarily to see if there's an influence based on what they were watching.
Okay, so just me thinking, I'm thinking more like a therapist where you're thinking like an investigator, which that makes total sense.
Yeah, well, yes.
Yes, that makes sense. That's usually how it works, you guys. I pick up on the psych stuff and he picks up on the cop stuff.
There you go. But yeah, that's why the cops would have asked that. That's why I would have asked it.
But
I would have definitely been asking.
Would you be
what we were watching?
Would you be interested?
And try to ask it multiple times in multiple ways.
Well, would you be interested in the Vampire Diary thing if it was a thing? Like, would that change your mind on what she thinks she heard?
I think if that's in there, I think it's more likely that she heard somebody say, "I'm here for you," versus "It's okay, I'm going to help you."
Me too. I'm going to do some research and then I'll definitely let you know. I'll find it.
Well, I've actually watched the series.
You
My daughter
have?
loves it. My oldest daughter. So I've watched it. It's like a teen drama stuff, like Teen Save the World type of thing. And it was like on, I don't even know what channel, CW I think is what it was. So it's like on television, so it's not that graphic or violent or anything. It does have times where they have to stab the vampire in the heart, but those are actually like far and few in between when those things actually happen. It's more like a freaking love story. Think of like a watered down Twilight without the dazzledness.
Okay. That works. Well, if you know what you're looking for, you should look at season 8, the final 2 episodes, to see if you find it.
All right, I'll check it out. Like, I don't know what. Yeah, I'll see. I think it's on Netflix.
Yeah, I think it's available somewhere. I think it was Netflix or Hulu. It's probably Netflix. But you'll have to let me know.
All right, I'll check it out. Season 8. How do they know it's season 8 again?
I'm not sure. I think I have to go back because I don't want to misquote it. But I believe she was reading from like the documents. But again, I was driving. So anybody listening to this, I don't want to put this out there as fact. But where did that just come from? So I am going to look into it, and then either Daniel or I or both will let you know what we find. But I do think it's something to look into, and I think that it plays into, like you were saying, memory and eyewitness, audio or visual. That is as reliable as we think it is, because people have to remember that we only conjure up what we already know. So if you're not thinking like that, then you might never think that that's what's happening. It's kind of like in marriage therapy, you guys. When someone in marriage therapy is accusing the other one of cheating, it always makes my red flag go up and be like, okay, are they cheating? Like, because it's like projection. So I am curious to see if this was projection. And if so, you're probably right. She probably said, or it probably was something more along the lines of, I'm here for you, which is scary.
Well, I mean, everybody asked what the motive is of the target was. You're saying it. I'm here for you. For someone.
Yeah. And they could have met in true crime even. How weird would that be? They could have even met like in the true crime realm, because she was into true crime and he's going to school for criminal justice. And we know that he watched YouTube. I mean, how weird would that be? But like they said, they didn't find any connections, but that also could be because he was deleting so much of his stuff.
Me personally, I think this guy had his eye on a bunch of different women that he knew. I think he knew that he couldn't do anything to the women that he probably wanted to, or the ones that he was close to, because it would come back to him. And so what he did was probably look for women that looked very similar to them. And, I think he had certain ideas. He wanted to commit this crime before he even moved out there. And that's why he bought the K-bar knife before he even moved. So he had these feelings and these thoughts. I mean, he was trying to get the emotions, or understand the emotions of criminals after he graduated from DeSales, using the guise of DeSales to talk to criminals. So this was for his personal wants. And so he's been wanting to do this for a while. I've always said, I think the guy probably went out to the pool party, saw a lot of women who were in skintier clothing, bathing suits, got overstimulated and decided to drive around that night and find a party that's got the biggest party with females who are young and attractive, that would create a high-profile crime. And I wouldn't be surprised if there was some sort of gathering, maybe not in their house, but somewhere nearby. And as he drove by, he got glimpses, and that's my opinion. Probably, I said this like years ago. That was my first theory I ever put out there. This guy found the perfect house, and then he liked what he saw as far as the women that were residing there. Yeah, he saw this house as an opportunity. It was an area that you can't really drive through.
Yes.
So like if you're in law enforcement, you have to be real specific for a reason to go into that area.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an area that you would see patrolmen often go into, just to go into without a call in there. When officers are patrolling, they'll hit the areas where they can get in and out of, especially if they have a call or things of that nature. going into a one-way area where it's one way in, one way out. You go in there now and then, every now and then. But if you can like kind of just see from the main drive as you're passing by, like on Taylor Avenue, that's probably all they used to do. So that's probably one of the reasons he chose the area, because it was a one way in, one way out. He had a lot of parties there, so you had a lot of people coming in and out. A lot of ways to hide your DNA, a lot of ways to hide your tracks.
Absolutely.
And you had people, because of that they were going in and out, that it was easily accessible.
It
And
was.
so,
And he
I've
probably,
always thought that was him.
do you think it was him, the one, like when they said they would come home and like the one time the dryer or the washer was on, like I would have never went back to that house again. If we were all away and I came home and my washer was on, I'd be like, what the heck? So like in those situations, if that was him, maybe he realized that like they didn't call the cops for those things. There was like a few weird things that happened. So maybe that they would be, you know what I mean? Like that they weren't going to call the cops for every little thing. Like we don't know, but that could have been like him like testing the waters to see what he should be aware of. I would have ran home. I would have ran home.
I think that's highly likely that he's probably multifaceted. See what they would do. He was probably getting off on their fear as well.
1,000%.
Sign of escalation. You know, it was he was getting off on that, breaking into these people's houses until it wasn't enough, and then he moves on to the next thing. I think it was multifaceted, probably to see what the response was, but also probably got off on getting in there and them not knowing that he was in there. If he went in there like that and turned things on, I don't think that was his first time in that house. And there's been, I think they said there was like 3 occasions. One where they came out of town and the front door was open. Another time when the back sliding glass door was open, and obviously somebody went in there because Murphy was also out. And so somebody would have had to have gone into the back sliding glass door and opened the door upstairs for Kaylee's door for Murphy to get out. And so they had to go find him for that situation. Now, the one time when they came home and the front door was open and there was a snowstorm, I'm not sure if that's the same time that they had the, I don't think it is, because the third time, I believe, was when they had a weekend trip and they came home, the front door was open, and when they got home, the washer was on.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And that wasn't due to the snowstorm. And they kind of got scared about it, but they were like kind of concerned. So look at what he did with Na Young Ko. He put her cake in the microwave and put our cosmetics in the toilet.
That's what made me think that this could be him.
He wanted them to know somebody was there, not just wonder if somebody was there.
Yes. No, for sure. Because who would have put the washer on, or who would have put that cake in the microwave? That's not where she was putting it, if anything, in the trash, because she said it was like, she made it wrong. But right. I agree with you 100%. And when you were talking, I kept saying her name in my head, because I was like, don't forget to say that. But I see an overlap there. And this probably, and we know just his friend Jeremy Saba or whatever, that he stole the mom's iPad, and then the dad, that one dad that says that he stole like the coin collection, and so it wouldn't be his first rodeo.
No, not at all. It seems like he was a somewhat of a professional burglar in a certain extent.
And that's what he was studying.
He stole tens of thousands of dollars worth of coin collection and knives from that guy.
That's crazy.
And he stole drugs from Saba's house and prescription drugs from Bayless's house. And he stole his sister's cell phone.
Yes.
Which is the one thing that he was actually called in for. But these are just the things that we know about, and the things that he got caught with, and the things that people have been able to come forward. I'm sure there are a lot of people. I mean, the people that he had their IDs, they didn't even know how or why or when he got their IDs.
That's crazy, right? They're like watching the news now, and they're like, wait, that's where my ID went? Like, could you imagine?
And you have to wonder, where did he take it from? Like, did he take it while they were working together? Did he take it while they were at school together? Or did he go into their house when they were asleep or not there and take it then?
No, that would be so scary. But you're right. It's like a power.
No, I probably think it's the latter.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy, right? I think like the more we find out about him, the more we see that Like these things aren't things that he wouldn't do. He's done them, a lot of them in the past, and we do see escalation here. So I don't know. I don't think it's like far off from thinking that he's the one that turned the washer on or left the doors open. And that obviously, I don't know. They never called the police for those things. They probably just thought that it was a sorority sister or brother playing a joke, or, you know what I mean? Like, because I'm thinking, like, why wouldn't you call the police for that? But what are you going to do? Call the police and say my washer was on? You know what I mean? Like, so like
Yeah.
maybe they just thought
somebody
like,
made entry into my house.
but maybe they would have thought like, oh, these kids are drinking or something. Like, I don't know that they would have even been
That's
taken
true.
serious.
That,
That's
I mean, we saw the images of their home. There was alcohol and things there everywhere.
yes.
You know, do they really want law enforcement to come in and search their property? Probably not.
No, especially because the two 21-year-olds would have been responsible for the younger ones at that point. So you're absolutely right about that. That alone can stop somebody from calling. Just like I think that played a role in why Dylan didn't call. I think she was afraid to get them in trouble.
That's quite possible. I mean, she thought that Xana was just drunk on the floor.
Yeah. And I think she was afraid to call.
underage.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
all those things are possible. Well, Dr. Vona, I got to jump off.
Thank you for
it was
calling.
Great being the first-time caller. I should
Thank
probably
you.
do this again another time.
Yeah, this is amazing. Thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate you.
Of course. I'll be on the live. Hello to everybody. I see a lot of familiar faces in the live chat. It's good to see everyone. You guys have a great weekend.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you. Bye.
Oh, you guys, this is working out so nice. I love this. Thank you so much for calling in. So Chloe says, question, would